Hello, welcome to the tutorial on the design and implementation of Soccer League transfer portal using server-side Blazor. I am Benjamin Fadina. Now, the objectives I intend to achieve in this tutorial is to implement a fictional Soccer League transfer portal using server-side Blazor, C#, SQL Server, ASP.NET Core, and SQL Server reporting services. For the authentication and authorization module of this app, we shall be implementing custom security. Now, the first lesson is the database design. So I'm going to start Management Studio. So I'm going to connect to a SQL Server instance called /lower. I'm going to use SQL Server authentication. My username is SA, and I type in my password. After that, I'll click Connect. Oh, it's taking a long while. Probably SQL Server service is not running, so let me check it out. So, okay, is the instance I want to connect to, so I'll click Start the service. And now I'm connected. So now that I'm connected, I go ahead and create a new database. I right click on Databases folder, say New Database, and then call it Soccer League DB. Then I click, and then as for the database owner, let me browse. Let me make the database owner SA. Click OK. Click OK. Then I click OK. After that, I will expand the database folder, and then I will expand Soccer League DB. After expanding Soccer League DB, I'll right click on tables. I'll say New Table. Let me start with the teams. So I have team ID. I have team name. I have stadium. Sorry, let me call it home ground. Registered office address. I have that email. contact telephone and club logo. So for this, make team ID primary key. That type is integer. Team name. And make it nvarchar, say 300. Nvarchar 300. Okay. Let's make it nvarchar 150. Nvarchar 100. On ground. Nvarchar 50. Register office address. Nvarchar max. Contact email. And Nvarchar 50. Contact telephone and Nvarchar 50. Club logo and Nvarchar max. We are not going to allow no for any of these fields. Now it's time for me to save my table. So I right click, so save table 1. Save table 1 as club details. Then I click OK. I'll click on the team ID column. That I set as primary key. After clicking on it, I'll go down at the bottom and expand identity specification. I'll change this identity from no to yes. Then I don't want two teams to have the same name in this application. I'll also go ahead, I'll right click here, I'll click on index to keys, I'll click on add, and I'll go to the type, I'll change it to unique key. I'll go to columns, I'll click the ellipses, participating column in the unique key will be team name. I'll click OK, I'll click close. Then I'll right click again, save club details. So we are now through with the design of club details. Now the next table we are going to design is players table. So right click, save new. We're going to have player ID. We're going to have first name. We're going to have middle name. We're going to have surname. We're going to have gender ID. We are going to have current club ID. We are going to have player photo. We are going to have contact email. I'm going to have contact phone. I'm going to have position ID. Now go ahead again. Right click on player ID with a set primary key. Data type, make it int. First name, make it nbaka50. Middle name, make it nbaka50. Surname, nbaka50. Gender, change data type to int. Current clock, change data type to int. Player photo, change data type to nbaka-max. Contact email, change the data type to nbaka50. Contact phone, change the data type to nbaka50. Position ID, which the data to int. Then save the table. Yes. First name compulsory, surname compulsory, gender compulsory, current club not compulsory because it is possible for a player to be unattached, player photo compulsory, contact email, contact phone, and position compulsory. So we'll come here, again right click and say save players. I click on player ID, again make it identity, expand this, change this identity from no, change it to yes. I'm going to do a relationship between players, table, and club details. So I right click here, say relationships, I click on add, and I come to the tables and columns spec, click on the ellipsis, and select club details. Team ID, link it to correct club ID. Click OK. Close. Then I right click, say save players. The following tables will be saved to your database. If you want to continue, I say yes. So I will now go ahead and create gender table. I click on tables, say new table, gender ID, gender name. That will be Nbaka 50. Save this table. Genders. Click OK. And click on gender ID. So set primary key. And make gender ID identity. Right click save table again. Right click again and make gender name unique key. Click on add, change type to unique key. Go to ellipsis, beside columns, change the participating column to gender name. Okay, click close. Right click to save again. It's now time for me to do a relationship between gender table and players table. So I right click here, so go to relationships, then click on add, go to tables and column spec, click on the ellipsis, select genders as primary key table, primary key column gender ID, under foreign key table and select gender ID as the participating column, click OK, click close, and right click on players table, and I say save players. The following tables will be saved to your database. Do you want to continue? I say yes. Now, the next table I want to create is position table. So I right click on tables, say new, position ID, and position name, and 50, save table, save it as player positions. Click on OK. I right click on position ID, primary key, and now line null for position name. Right click again, I say save. I'll make position ID identity. Then I right click on position name to make it a unique key. Click on add, change type to unique key, participating column B, position name, click OK, click close. I right click on player positions and I say save. Come to players table. I'll do a relationship between players table and player positions table. Go to relationships, click add, go to tables and column specs. I'll pick player positions, pick position ID here, I'll pick position ID here, click OK, click close, then I right click on players, say save players. Following tables will be saved to your database. Do you want to continue? I say yes. Now, the next thing I want to implement is security table. The tables that want to do authorization and authentication. First of all, create another table, call it user ID. Call it int. Then I have username. That empacker 50. Then I have the password. Make that 10 backup 50. Then I have team ID. Now make user ID primary key. Username is compulsory. Password is compulsory. Team ID is not compulsory. I click here, save table, call it users. I'll make user ID identity, so I click on it. At the bottom of the screen, I change identity specification, change this identity from no, change it to yes. Save users table. Username, password. Now the username will also be unique. So I click on the table, I go to indexes through keys, I'll click on add, I'll go to type, I change it to unique key, participating column in the unique key will be username. So this constraint will ensure that no two users have the same username. Click on close. Save users. The next table I'm going to create is the rows table. So new table, role ID, and then I have role name. For role ID, the data type will be int. For role name, the data type will be n-50. Both will be compulsory columns. I right click on role ID and say set primary key. Then I'm going to save the table 1 as rows. Click OK. I'll make role ID identity identity field. Change this identity from no to yes. Save. Right click and say save rows again. I want to make role name a unique key. So I right click, I go to indexes through keys, and I click add. Change type from index to unique key. Participating column will be role name. I click OK, and I click close. Now the last table I'm going to design is user in rows table. Okay, sorry, that will be the second to the last table. So I right click, go to new table, have ID, I have user ID, and then I have role ID. The data type for this will be int. This will also be int. All the 3 columns will be compulsory. I right click on ID, make it a primary key. I right click on the table and say save. Saving the table as users in rows. Click OK. I'll make ID an identity field. Then I'll do a relationship between user in rows and users table. I do that by right clicking to relationships, table column spec, I pick users, primary key column is user ID, foreign key column is user ID. I click OK. To add another relationship, I click add, primary key table is rows, primary key column is role ID, foreign key table is user in rows, foreign key column is role ID. I click OK. I click close. And I click on user in rows to save. Following tables will be saved to your database. You want to continue? Yes. Now, so I have all these tables. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tables. Now the 8th table will be player transfers. So I'm going to have transfer ID int, player ID int, originating club ID int, destination club ID int, transfer date. That will be date type. Then we are going to have transfer type ID. That will be int. And then we are going to have transfer fee. That type for that will be decimal 18, 2. We are going to have sign-on fee. That type of that will be decimal 18, 2. So save this as player transfers. So transfer ID compulsory will be primary key. Let's make it identity. Let's do a relationship between player ID and let's do a relationship between players and player transfer table. So relationship add pick players, primary key column will be player ID, foreign key column here will also be player ID. Now let's do another relationship between clubs and player transfer table. So I pick clubs details, team ID, originating club ID. I do another relationship on the same table. I click on add, club details, team ID, this time around on destination club ID. Let me just check to be sure. So I expand here, we have originating club ID and team ID. Here I have team ID and destination club ID. Now, the last relationship that I'm going to do will be between the next table I'm going to create, which is transfer types, and this table. So let me save this table as it is currently. So I click and say save player transfers. Player ID is going to be compulsory. Originating club ID will not be compulsory because it's possible for a player to not have a club initially. Destination club compulsory, transfer date compulsory. Transfer type ID compulsory. Transfer fee not compulsory. Sign on fee compulsory. Let's put in another column for transfer agent. Let's make it nvarchar 200. Let's make it compulsory. Let's add another column for agent fee. And that one too will be, that type for that one too will be decimal 18, 2. So let's save. Okay. So let's design the last table, which will be for transfer types. So I right click, new table, transfer type ID, int, transfer type name, and make it nvarchar 50. So save this table as transfer types. So set primary key, make this one identity, change this identity from no to yes. Then I'm going to make transfer type name unique key. So I right click on it, I go to index to keys, click on add. I'll change the type from index to unique key. Participating column will be transfer type name. I click OK. I click close. I right click on transfer types and say save transfer types. Now I go back to player transfers table. I'll now do a relationship between player transfers and transfer types. So I right click again, I go to relationships. Right here after relationships, I click on add. To add the fourth relationship, I go to table and column spec. I'll pick on transfer types as primary key table, participating column transfer type ID, foreign key column here, transfer type ID, click OK, click close. I right click on player transfers, I say save, then I click on yes. So this is the end of lesson 1, which is database design. Thank you.